Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityormamritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Sadgurum Pranatosmyaham. Welcome to the study of the Vivekacūḍāmaṇi. From verses 8 to 15, the means for self-realization, Atma-jnana, was elaborated by Sri Shankaracharya. And the first step is to approach a competent guru and learn from him or her the ways to proceed or progress towards the goal of life, namely realization of the ultimate truth, Shashvata Satya, or ultimate truth. And the other one that he is going to discuss is Vedantartha Vicharana. That means trying to understand the meaning of the scriptures. Vedanta Artha Vichara. 45th verse. Vedantartha Vicharena Jayate Jnanamuttamam Tenatyantika Samsara Dukkhanasho Bhavatyanu. Reasoning on the meaning of the Vedanta leads to efficient knowledge. That is the highest knowledge, which consists in the realization of the identity of the individual soul with Brahman. And this is immediately followed by the total annihilation of the misery born of relative existence. The Vedantic teachings, the teachings that are given in the Upanishads and other scriptural texts, they are based on the direct perception of the seers called rishis. Rishayaha mantra drashta, it is said. Who are the rishis? Those who have had the direct experience or direct perception of the truth. Mantra has got many meanings. One is Mananat Trayate iti mantraha, chanting which or remembering which one is saved. That is one of the meaning. The another meaning is that which weaves the mind together, that which binds the mind together and takes us towards the divine. That is another meaning. You know, if you want to tie something, then you make a ball of it, or you make a packet of it with the help of strings, and then you carry it. That's what we do. Or the bag, for example. So in the same way, mantra is that which carries the the essence in your mind all the time. That is to say that I am the Atman, I am Brahma, I am a part and parcel of Brahman. All these feelings will come to us. So the mantra drashtaha, or the rishis who have had this realization, which is not merely based on intellectual reasoning, but based upon direct perception. Knowledge even is dual. The knower and the known is there. Whereas the anubhuti, that means direct perception, is swatah spurtha. It wells from within oneself. Does not need a second person to point it out to you. So, swatah spurtha. Vedanta artha vicharena. So, artha vichara means we need to try and understand the meaning. Artha means meaning. By reasoning, so that our intellect is 100% convinced that this is what I want to achieve. And these scriptures have been given to us as a guidance, not for simply, getting it by heart or memorizing, not for simply memorizing. So many people are there who have memorized the scripture very much, but they would not know the hidden or the deeper meaning of the scriptures. So it must be manana, shravana, manana, nididhyasana. These are the 3 steps in understanding the meaning of the Vedantic scriptures. Listening, not just hearing, but listening very carefully with utmost attention. Manana, after listening to it, ponder over it. It is like the churning the buttermilk. See, we Indians are very, very, very well aware of that. We churn buttermilk and bring out the butter. And then that butter can be kept even on water, it will still float. Whereas before churning the butter, if you try to keep it or mix it with water, it will become, water will come and become a part of the buttermilk. So this churning has to be done. Manthana or mathana, these are the Sanskrit words. Manthana has to be done every now and then, or always, if it can be done always. So we have to live according to the tenets of the Vedantic scriptural words or scriptural advice. And if we do that, then we will achieve to the highest. Just as in any profession that you are, you first have an education, you go through the step-by-step procedure, and then you achieve to perfection. So in the same way here also, spiritual this Vedanta is a spiritual science. Spiritual science. It is very methodical. It is very methodical, and one has to exert. One has to exert oneself in order to understand the Vedantic tenets, so that it sits within you and there is no doubt at all. So doubt is a very a treacherous enemy for a spiritual aspirant. So because doubt is like, Sri Ramakrishna says, doubt is like the roots of the banyan tree. The roots of the banyan tree, if you do not completely destroy it, the banyan tree or the fig tree will come up everywhere. So doubt is like that. It will keep on propping up. Therefore, this doubt has to be removed. So he says on the meaning, leads to efficient knowledge. That's what he says. It is an efficient knowledge. That means it is a very established knowledge. It is not a mere understanding, but it is a knowledge which goes and sits deeply within your psyche, which is immediately followed. What happens if I study this is a question which we'll always ask. We are in a utilitarian society. We always question, if I do something, what is the returns that I am going to get? Every one of us, we live in such a society where we always seek for benefits out of whatever we do. Shankaracharya elsewhere says that even a fool, Manda Buddhi says, even a fool does not do anything without a purpose. He has his own purpose. It may be a foolish purpose, but it has a purpose, nevertheless. So, therefore, this Vedanta, when we study Vedanta, it is but very natural for us to ask this question: what will be the outcome of what I am doing? We may quote from the Bhagavad Gita and others and say this is Nishkam Karma, I should not seek for the benefits and all of that. But nevertheless, there is always an intent within ourselves to get something out of what we do. So what is the result that we achieve? He says, Atyantika samsara dukkha nashaha. Atyantika samsara dukkha. Total annihilation. That's the word that he uses. Total annihilation of the misery that is born of this earthly existence. This is called the relative existence. He says that in this existence, we are always traveling between happiness and misery. And both of them do not stay for constantly. For sometimes we are happy, and then for sometimes we can be unhappy. There's no person who will be totally happy and no person who will be totally unhappy in this relative existence. But there is always a question within every one of us. Is there a way by which I can always have this joy, I can always be happy? It's a question that every being asks, knowingly or unknowingly, we always ask. Why? Because within ourselves, we have this element of Ananda. Sat, Chit and Ananda. This element of Ananda is there. And it gets covered by all the pains that overtake us. Therefore, there is always this search within every one of us. How can I be happy? How can I have joy all the time? So, Shankaracharya says here, yes, if you try and put your mind to the discussion, study, and meditation on the scriptural injunctions, words of the scriptures, then you will certainly be able to go beyond this duality of pleasure and pain. Atyantika dukkha nivrittihi. Elsewhere, in another saint says, Atyantika dukkha nivrittihi parama sukha praptihi. Dukkha nivritti, removal of sorrow, and parama sukha prapti. In place of that, there will be a joy that knows no bounds. There is it is of the nature of infinite joy. A seer of Brahman or a knower of Brahman, a person who has realized the ultimate, is a person who has within him this fountain of joy always flowing. The life of great saints are examples of this fact, that indeed they may have a lot of physical disabilities or pains, etc. But as soon as they turn their minds inward, the joy wells up and they forget everything. Sri Ramakrishna had cancer of throat and he could hardly talk. He could not eat any food. He could hardly talk. But when people would come and would look at him and expect some guidance from him, he would forget all of that and would engage in talking to them about spiritual topics and sing and make merry with them, forgetting all the pain that he has. After all that is done, oh, he says, I have this pain now. So Girish Chandra Ghosh, one of the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, used to say, you are faking this. You don't have pain. You don't have cancer and all that. Yes, the doctors are saying that you have. Of course, he was, having infection and all that. Phlegm was being thrown out and all that. But yet, Girish Chandra Ghosh said, well, you are faking it, that's all. Because I see you are so full of joy. Not only you are full of joy, but you are infecting us with that joy. That is it. He doesn't infect others with misery, but he infects you with that joy. That is what is called as Atyantika Dukkha Nivrittihi Parama Sukha Praptihi. So Shankaracharya says here, Samsara Dukkha Nashaha Bhavati Anu. As soon as this supreme knowledge takes hold of one's being, one's whole psyche or one's whole being, he will experience the truth. And all the worldliness, all the pettiness that we experience in this world will completely disappear. And there is no fear at all in such a person. Totally fearless. When Sage Yajnavalkya goes to meet King Janaka, he sees his face and he exclaims, Abhayam vai Janaka praptosi. O Janaka, I see that you have attained to that state of total fearlessness. Because Janaka had realized, even though he was a king, yet he had realized that ultimate truth by following the path of Jnana Vichar, pondering over the truth, negating that which is not real, negating that which is unreal or untruth, and then establishing oneself firmly on the platform of the absolute existence or of absolute truth. So that is what Sri Shankaracharya is saying. Then at that, what will happen to him, to that person, is the world which one used to look upon with fear, it appears as full of joy. It appears as full of joy. Even in the wicked, even in all the wrong happenings, etc., the seer or the knower of Brahman will be able to see the reflection of the divine or the manifestation of the divine over there. So there is no difference between the high and low. So in order to do that, what should we do? In the next verse, 46th verse, Shankaracharya gives some idea about what one should have or one should possess. Shraddha bhakti dhyana yogan mumukshor mukter hetun bhakti sakshat shruter gihi yo va yeteshveva tishthatyamushya moksho avidya kalpitat dehabandhat. We read from the running translation. Faith, devotion, and the yoga of meditation. These are mentioned by the Shruti as the immediate factors of liberation in the case of a seeker. Whoever abides in these gets liberation from the bondage of the body, which is the conjuring of ignorance. Faith is Shraddha, and devotion is Bhakti. So in the verses 25 and 31, this has been mentioned before. I think we studied it also. Faith, devotion, and the yoga of meditation. So these are great disciplines. These are wonderful disciplines. Whoever is established in this, Sri Shankaracharya says, in faith. Let me just repeat what we earlier spoke about, for those who have not understood it or who have not remembered it. Shraddha, the first thing is Shraddha. Shastrasya guruvakyasya satya buddhi avataranam sa shraddha katita sadbiryaya vastu upalabhyate. Shankaracharya has said about this. What is it? Shastrasya. Implicit faith in the validity or veracity of the scriptures. What is the scripture? Scripture is the handbook. It is a handbook by which we can understand what spirituality is, what the nature of life is, what the nature of the Atman or the self is. So that is the handbook, scripture. And Guru Vakyasya, the words of a Guru. That means the teachings that the Guru has given, the instructions that your teacher has given to you. Satya Buddhi Avadharanam. That means knowing that they are truth. Truth and nothing but truth. Not having an iota of doubt about this. See? First, begin with faith. Then you experiment and do whatever you want. But first begin with faith. That is what Shankaracharya says. First begin with faith. Do not try to keep on questioning the veracity of the scriptures. Whether the Upanishads or the Vedas were composed or were uttered by Brahma or not, all of these things. Don't worry about that. It is definitely the handbook that has been given to us through the generations by the rishis. And we have to have that implicit faith. You may say, it may be blind faith, doesn't matter. Swami Vivekananda asked this question of Sri Ramakrishna. Well, you are saying faith, faith, faith. Isn't faith blind? Then Sri Ramakrishna asks, does faith have two eyes? That you are asking that it is blind or not blind? No. It is existence itself. You cannot question that. It is there. And he used the example. The mother shows a man and tells the child, this is your uncle. From now onwards, call him as uncle. Would the child doubt it? No. The child knows 100% because of the faith that the child has in her mother. She will never question who that person is, even though that person is not his own uncle. Yet, the child for that time will always treat that person as her uncle. In the same way, we have to start. We are all children, of course. We need to remind ourselves that we are all children in spirituality. Till we achieve to that highest wisdom, we are all children. So, we are all children of the divine, of course, Divine Mother. So, we need to have that kind of implicit Shraddha, faith. Of course, Shraddha also gives you strength. It doesn't come from weakness, but it comes from strength. The child is always very, very safe when he or she is with the mother or with the father, because she or he has 100% belief or strength, finds 100% strength in the presence of his or her parents. So therefore, Shraddha is like that. Faith brings you or gives us a lot of strength also. Strength that the Atman, that I am a part and parcel of the divine. That strength will come to us if we have that implicit faith, Shastrasya. Then Shraddha Bhakti. Bhakti is pure, unalloyed love. A love that does not seek any rewards. A love that does not hate anything. So it does not hate anything that is written in the scriptures. That is what is being mentioned over here. Shraddha Bhakti. Bhakti is very much, one should love what one is doing, isn't it? If we do not love what we are doing or what we have undertaken, then it becomes a drag. Life becomes a mere drag. Many of us, I know, in the corporate world and the world outside, many people just do their jobs or their work without love towards it. But those who can really love what they are doing, they can really deliver great results. There's no doubt about that. One must love. Therefore, Shraddha, Bhakti, and then Dhyana Yoga. Yoga of meditation. That means going Nididhyasana. That's what he's saying. One must go deeper and deeper into oneself. These are mentioned by the Shruti as the immediate. If I have these three things, for example, what he says is faith, devotion, and yoga of meditation. If I have or if I develop these three qualities within myself, then it will bring immediate results to us. Whoever abides in these gets liberation from the bondage of the body. Bondage is the identification that I am the body, or the self is the body. So, this, which is the conjuring of ignorance. So it destroys all ignorance, destroys all doubts. Let us go to the 47th verse. Ajnana yogat paramatmanastavahi anatma bandhas tatayeva samsruti tayor viveko ditabodhavanhi ajnana karyam pradahet samulam. It is verily through the touch of ignorance that thou who art the Supreme Self findest thyself under the bondage of the non-self, whence alone proceeds the round of births and deaths. The fire of knowledge, kindled by the discrimination between these two, burns up the effects of ignorance together with their root. See? Ajnana yogat paramatmanaha tavahi anatma bandhaha tatayeva samsritihi. Our bondage or our present state of bondage has come upon us because of ignorance. Not knowing who I am is ignorance. Not knowing who I am is ignorance. And it is this ignorance which takes us from birth to birth. It binds us. Tatayeva samsriti. Samsriti means coming and going. Round of births and deaths. Only we don't know the truth. Because once we know the truth, in the Bible we read, thou shalt know the truth and the truth shall make you free. That's what it does. Truth shall make you free. It must make us free. So he says, under the bondage of the non-self, that is anatma. What is anatma? That is thinking that this body is everything, the mind is everything, and I, who am a bound jiva or a bound personality, this is the ultimate of everything. There is nothing higher to be achieved. Eat, drink, and make merry, and that is the whole cycle of life. That's what material science says. But the spiritual science refutes this argument and says, no, we are not mere biological creatures. We are divine beings. Shrinvantu vishve amritasya putraha ayedhamani divyani tastuhu vedahametam purusham mahantam adityavarnam tamasah parastat tameva viditva atimrutyumeti nanyah pantha vidyate ayanaya. The Upanishadic sage says, Shrinvantu Vishve, O people of the universe, listen to this. What is it? Amritasya putraha, you are the children of immortal bliss. Aye dhamani divyani tastu. In this dhama, in this universe, remain as divine beings. Vedahametam, I have known this truth. Aditya varnam tamasah parastat, that the nature of this is like the all-pervading sun, which destroys all darkness. Tam eva viditva, having known this, atimrutyumeti, you will go beyond the duality of birth and death. Na anya pantha vidyate ayanaya. There is no other path for you to follow except by listening to my words that you are divine beings. So that has to be understood very clearly by all of us. That is why the Sri Shankaracharya has given us this wonderful text, the Vivekacūḍāmaṇi. How can we disassociate ourselves from the limitations that we have layered upon us? How can we grow beyond this or outgrow this? This is the subject matter that we are studying here. Tayoho Viveka Udita Bodhavani. See, what it does is it burns up the effects of all ignorance. The fire of knowledge burns up the effects of ignorance. It just burns everything, and you will not go through the cycle of birth and death. And there is nothing to be feared at all, because the self alone exists. Atman alone abides. Swami Atulananda, a great disciple of Swami Vivekananda, used to say, Atman alone abides. Only one thing that abides is the Atman. Nothing except the Atman exists. Nothing exists except the Atman. Now the disciple asks a question. Shishya Uvacha, or he submits his thoughts to Sri Shankara, to the Guru. Shishya Uvacha. This is a dialogue between a disciple and the teacher. Kripaya shruyatam swamin prashnoyam kriyate maya yaduttaramaham shrutva kritarthasyam bhavan mukhat. See? If there is a burning desire, if there is this inquiry within oneself, which is burning within oneself, the simile that is given in the Mundakopanishad is that the disciple approaches the Guru with Samit Panihi. Samit is the firewood. He keeps the firewood on his head in a pot, and he comes. That is to say, I am my whole being is burning with this inquisitiveness to know who I am. Samit Pani. So one approaches the teacher. So Kripaya Shruyatam Swamin Ayam Prashnaha Kriyate Maya Yaduttaram Aham Shrutva Kritarthasyam Bhavan Mukhat. Condescend to listen, O Master, to the question I am putting to you. I shall be gratified to hear a reply to the same from thy lips. One approaches the teacher with utmost humility and with sincerity. That is the idea that is represented in this verse. So he asks the question. These questions are very significant, so we need to study this carefully. Ko nama bandhaha kathamesha agataha katham pratisthasya katham vimokshaha ko savanatma paramah ka atma tayor viveka katame taduchyatam. See, so many questions are being asked by the disciple. As I said, doubts are burning in his heart. He is heavy with these doubts. So therefore, he now pours over his heart. placing all the thoughts that are bothering him, that which is concerning him. These are extraordinary questions that a spiritual seeker asks of the teacher, Sadguru, of course. The teacher will be most happy when one listens to such queries or questions. What is it? The first one he asks, Ko nama bandha? Ko nama. What is bondage? Kathamesha agataha. How has this come upon me? Kathamesha agataha. See, you are saying, quoting from the scriptures, that I am Brahman, or I am a part and parcel of the divine, if you come down a little lower. But I don't feel like that. I feel I am bound. I feel that at every step in my life, I have to struggle. I have to loosen the ties that bind me. My mind goes here and there. My tongue goes somewhere else. My feet leads me somewhere else. My hand goes somewhere else. See? I don't have any control over my own sense organs, let alone the mind. So that means I am at the mercy of the elements. I am at the mercy of the senses as well as the mind. So how can I release myself from this bondage that I have got to the mind and to the senses? This is the question that he asks. And then he says, if you say that I am Brahman, where did all this bondage come from? Where did all suffering come from? So when the Buddha left his home, one of the burning questions that he had was, what is suffering? What is the nature of suffering? I see that there is suffering everywhere in this world. What is the nature of suffering? Is there an escape from this suffering? That's how he starts. And then he meditates upon this problem of suffering. And as he goes deeper and deeper and deeper into the nature of suffering, he attains to nirvana, and he comes out with the four Arya Satyas, and he says, yes, there is suffering, and there is a reason for this suffering. There is a way out of this suffering, and then there are ways and methods by which one can overcome this suffering. So, in the same way, the scriptures, the Vedanta scriptures or Hindu scriptures also, they give us an inkling about what this suffering, the nature of this suffering is. So it says, Kathamesha agata, where did this all suffering come from if I am Brahman? Katham asya pratishtha. How does it continue to exist? It is always existing. All the time there is some kind of suffering or the other. Even though externally I may appear to be very happy, yet there is some gnawing worry that is always making me suffer. Every person in this world has this. Kuch kami hai. Something is lacking. That feeling is always there in us. So katham asya pratishtha katham. One of the other meanings of pratishtha means, where is the locus of this suffering? Where is the basis of this suffering? That means, how can I locate, or where can I locate the basis of this very suffering? Katham vimokshaha. How can I escape from this? How can I get released from this bondage? How can I get out of this rut in which I suffer? How is one freed from it? Katham vimokshaha? Kosa anatma. See, what is this non-self? See, in Shankara's time, the Buddha philosophy had taken deep roots in society. And the Vedantic teachers or thinkers in those times, they really struggled to somehow give an answer to this anatmavad. Anattavad, that means that there is no Atman, that there is no self. That is the doctrine that the Buddhists had propounded. So Shankara had to somehow give a response to that. And therefore he says, Kosa anatma, what is this non-self? And paramah ka atma, and who is the Supreme Self? Sometimes you say it is Jivatma, sometimes you say it is Paramatma, the individual soul, and then sometimes you say it is the Supreme Soul. Well, I can understand Jivatma means that this Jiva, this embodied being, which is bound down, but which has an entity, which has an existence entity within oneself. I can understand. But what is this Paramatma? That means the Supreme Self or the Supreme Being. What is this? Is there any such thing? These are very inquisitive questions that questions or queries that the disciple puts to the teacher. Kosavanatma, paramahka atma, tayor vivekaha katameta duchyatam. Tayor vivekaha. How can one distinguish between these two? That is the idea of non-self and the idea of the Paramatman or the Supreme Self. Etad uchyatam. Please do tell me about all these. See how many questions he has. What is bondage? How has it come upon the self? How does it continue to exist? How is one freed from the self? What is the non-self? How is the Supreme, and who is the Supreme Self? And how can one discriminate between them? These 7 questions is being asked by the very knowledgeable but extremely humble disciple. See, not that he has not studied the scriptures before. He has studied the scriptures before, but he studied it only academically. Now that he has got a Sadguru, a real Guru in flesh and blood, he is asking these questions with utmost humility, trying to know the real answers for these questions. This is, for ages, this has been the method in Hinduism or in or Vedantic tradition, asking questions of the teacher, the Sadguru, a real teacher. Ask these questions. If you do not ask, it shall not be given. Christ also says, ask and it shall be given. Knock and it shall open. So these are significant points that we need to understand. So we need to ask the questions, but not with arrogance, not with the sense that I know everything, but yet let me test the teacher. This kind of arrogance is not there. So here there is utmost sincerity in the heart of the disciple. As he has mentioned, his heart is burning with this, with these questions. And if one approaches a teacher with sincerity, with devotion, and with faith that the Guru will definitely be able to save me, or will be able to definitely take me across this ocean of samsara, then the Guru will reveal the secrets. Otherwise, yes, Christ says, don't throw pearls before the swine. The pigs. If you just throw pearls before the pigs, what it will do? It will just bite at that, and it doesn't know the value or worth of it. So only if it is given to a worthy person or a jeweler, and he will be able to accept it with great respect and with great reverence. The same way here also, we shall try and study the answers that the Guru gives. We will take this up in 2 weeks' time. Our next meeting or our next study will be on not the 6th of September, sorry, not on the 5th of September, but on the 12th of September. On the 12th of September, Thursday, at the same time, 7:30 p.m. Brisbane time. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Thank you, Ma. Namaskaram.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Thank you, Ma. Namaskaram.
Namaste.
Namaste.